My ex showed up at my door 7 years later with a kid demanding child support. Then my wife came out and everything went downhill fast. Hello, Reddit. This is going to be kind of long because there is a lot of context. So, first and foremost, I will tell you guys a little about my ex-girlfriend. My ex, Maria, 30F, was 23 when we were together. We were together for 4 years. We met in college and stayed together throughout. We even got an apartment together once we graduated and lived together for a year, before she broke things off with me abruptly and without an explanation. Maria was 1 year older than me and a senior in college. I was too shy to talk to her, and she is the one who had to initiate the relationship. She asked me out. She said, "I love you" first after 6 months of being together, and she is the one who suggested that we move in together after college. She was a wonderful girlfriend in every way but one. She was just very insecure. I do not know what it was, maybe because I never really took initiative in the relationship or something similar, but she was just always very insecure and jealous. She would hate it when I would speak to other girls, no matter who they were. After a couple of fights, I cut off all my friends who happened to be women because Maria was more important to me than being friends with other women. It wasn't just friends from college who I stopped talking to, but I also stopped speaking to my school friends, who had been friends with me for more than 5 years at that point. I am back to talking to them because Maria is not in my life anymore, and my wife is cool with my friends regardless of gender. But back then, I was just friends with my guy friends, and I wasn't even allowed to go out with them to have a boys' night because Maria believed it would just be an excuse for us to all go to bars, get wasted, and pick up girls. I did not think it was fair to me because she would forbid me from seeing anyone without her because of how insecure she was. But I couldn't see how wrong it all was because I was too in love with her. I felt like she was too. She would tell me all the time about how much she loved me and said that she couldn't live without me, that she couldn't imagine a future without me, and whatnot. So I stayed despite everything because I wanted to marry her and be with her. That was all I wanted. But with time, it became more and more difficult to stay with her since she just kept getting more suspicious and weird about me. By the time we were living together, I couldn't do anything without her breathing down my neck. She would check my phone all the time, monitor my movements, and if I didn't update her on my location at all times, she would threaten to lock me out when I came back home. So by now, you guys have some idea about how toxic our relationship had turned by the time we broke up. I still somehow found it in me to stay with her, but then, surprisingly, she is the one who broke up with me. It was over something insane because it was just a small misunderstanding that led to our breakup. One day, my sister visited me without announcing her visit, which she usually did to make sure Maria didn't suspect me and think that maybe I was having other girls over. Maria wasn't at home when my sister Laura, 33F, dropped by. She was at a friend's place because she was allowed to meet her friends, and I wasn't allowed to suspect her. Anyhow, Laura surprised me by dropping by unannounced, and I was so surprised to see her that I didn't even text Maria to tell her that Laura had come over, which I would have usually done. We got to talking and spent around 2 hours together at home, but then, all of a sudden, she received a call from her boss and had to leave to go back to work urgently. The thing that caused my breakup was unfortunately the lipstick that Laura left behind when she took it out to reapply it before she headed back to work. She was in a rush to leave, so she forgot it on the couch, and it was so small that I didn't notice it either. Then, Maria came back home a little after Laura left, and she seemed happy until she found the little lipstick. I still remember it as clear as day. She sat on the couch and sprang back up as soon as she sat, then grabbed the lipstick that she'd sat down on, and I instantly knew that I was screwed, because there was just no way in hell that she was going to let this one slide. I tried to downplay it, and told her the truth instantly. I told her that Laura had come over to visit during her lunch hours, and had taken out the lipstick to reapply it because she had to go back to work. I explained that she was rushing to go back home, so she had forgotten to put it back in her purse. But just as I expected, Maria didn't buy even a word of what I told her for a couple of reasons. Like I said, she brought up that Laura usually texts Maria and me both in the group text that has the 3 of us before she comes over. She hadn't done that this time. Secondly, she thought it was very unlikely that Laura would take out her lipstick to reapply in our house, because my sister wasn't really one for makeup. Maria was convinced that I'd had another girl over and absolutely flipped out. When I say flipped out, I don't mean it lightly. She really went psychotic and started screaming at me, cursing at me, and randomly started throwing things to the floor. First, she went for the cushions, then she threw some books to the floor while raging at me. But then it crossed a line when she grabbed the TV remote and threw it right at me. I ducked and managed to avoid it, but I knew that I needed to get the hell out of there, so I ran to our bedroom and locked myself in. I didn't have my phone with me, so I couldn't call anyone for help. I just had to stay there by myself for like an hour, while she went on and on about how I had betrayed her. She was screaming like a banshee outside the room, and I'll say that I was pretty scared. Finally, the screaming sort of calmed down, and I gathered the courage to leave the room and check outside. I noticed that she was gone and had left the door wide open. I didn't try to talk to her or contact her in any way for the next couple of hours, because I figured that she had just gone on a walk to clear her head or something. But then when she didn't even come home by midnight, I started to get a little worried and decided that I was going to try and call her. To my surprise, I noticed that the call didn't go through, and after the first couple of tries, I realized that she had blocked me. I tried to text her but with no luck because I was blocked there as well, and she had also removed me from all her social media accounts. I was paranoid and tried to call her friends, but they didn't answer my calls either, and I guessed they had blocked me too. For the next few weeks, I just kept trying to contact her in any way I could, but she just did not answer. After almost a month of trying to track her down, I gave up because I realized that she did not want to be found, not by me at least. I was completely lost without her, and the next few months were really the toughest of my life. I don't know how I got through it. All I would do was just go to work, come back, miss her, and pretend that things were fine. People tried to convince me that I was better off without her, but I just didn't feel it. I moved out of that apartment after a year. I tried to stay there because I thought that if Maria ever came back, she would be able to find me if I remained in that apartment. But after I moved out and had a new address, I gave up any hope of reconciling with Maria. We never got any closure, and that was my biggest disappointment so far. I was pretty depressed and tried not to talk to women after my breakup because I didn't want to feel like I was betraying Maria. That changed when I met my current wife, Lily, 27F. She was a colleague at work, and she was really sweet to me when I was new, and not just me, but she was sweet to every single person in the office. She was beautiful, intelligent, and had a brilliant personality. So despite my best efforts, I couldn't help but fall for her within a few months. I had promised myself that I would never put myself through another relationship again after Maria, but that all changed when I met Lily. We have been together for almost 4 years and have been married for 2 now. I am at my happiest with her, and I had honestly totally forgotten about Maria until recently, when she made a sudden reappearance in my life. 7 years have passed since our breakup, or rather her walking out on me like I meant nothing to her just over a petty misunderstanding. Last weekend, my wife and I were just chilling at home when she suddenly rang our doorbell, and I was the one to open the door. Before I could even register what I was seeing in front of me, she dragged a little boy, around 7, right in front of me and demanded that I pay 7 years of child support immediately. She completely tore into me before I even had a chance to speak and started yelling at me about how she had spent the last 7 years of her life trying to track me down so our son could finally have a father. I just stood there silently while she yelled at me, accused me of being an absent father, and demanded that I pay child support to her and cough up the amount that I had managed to avoid for all those years. My mind was spinning. I had no idea what to do or say. The truth earlier, which confused me even more. I asked them what they meant, but they were vague and didn't give me a clear answer. Next, I called my best friend Mark, who had been through thick and thin with me. I explained the whole situation to him, and he suggested that maybe Amy and Cindy had some kind of history that I wasn't aware of. Determined to get to the bottom of this, I spent the next few days trying to piece together what had happened. I reached out to mutual friends and anyone who might know something about the connection between Amy and Cindy. Eventually, I got a lead from an old college buddy who mentioned that Amy and Cindy were in the same sorority back in college. They had a falling out over a guy they both liked, and it had turned pretty nasty. Armed with this information, I tried to contact Amy again, hoping to clear the air. She answered my call but was still upset. I told her what I had found out about her and Cindy's past, and asked if that was why she reacted so strongly. Amy admitted that seeing Cindy had brought back a flood of bad memories, and that she felt betrayed because she thought I had known about their history and kept it from her. I assured her that I had no idea and that I had always been honest about my past with Cindy. It took some time, but eventually Amy agreed to meet with me to talk things over. We met at a small CAF GC, and I could see she was still hurt and confused. I explained everything in detail, how I had no pictures of Cindy left because I'd lost my phone and deleted most of them from social media, how I'd always been open about my past, and how I had no clue about her history with Cindy. Amy listened quietly, and I could see she was processing everything. After what felt like an eternity, she finally spoke. She told me that she believed me, but needed some time to sort out her feelings. She also mentioned that she felt guilty for not asking more about my past and for jumping to conclusions. We decided to take things slow and give each other the space we needed. Amy moved back in with her parents for a while, and we kept in touch, slowly rebuilding our trust. During this time, I also sought legal advice regarding Cindy's child support demands. I was advised to request a paternity test to confirm if the child was indeed mine. Weeks went by, and Amy and I started to reconnect. We went on dates, talked about our feelings, and worked on our communication. It wasn't easy, but we both knew we wanted to make our marriage work. Meanwhile, I managed to get in touch with Cindy and explained that I wanted a paternity test before discussing any child support. Cindy reluctantly agreed, and we scheduled a test. The day of the test was nerve-wracking. I was anxious to know the truth, but I also dreaded the possible outcomes. Amy was supportive, even though she was still dealing with her own emotions. We both knew that the results could change our lives dramatically. When the results came in, it was confirmed that the boy was not my son. Cindy had lied to me, trying to pin her child on me for reasons I could only guess at. I was relieved but also furious at the same time. I confronted Cindy, and she admitted that she had hoped to use my financial support to make up for the years of struggle she had faced. She apologized, but the damage was done. With the paternity issue resolved, Amy and I focused on healing our relationship. We attended couples counseling, which helped us understand each other better and rebuild our trust. Slowly but surely, we found our way back to each other. Looking back, the whole ordeal was a painful chapter in my life, but it also brought Amy and me closer together. We learned to communicate better and to trust each other more deeply. It wasn't an easy journey, but it was worth it. Now, as I sit here writing this, I am grateful for the love and strength that Amy and I have found in each other. Our bond is stronger than ever, and I know that we can face whatever challenges life throws at us together. Wasn't entirely my fault. So I drove to her parents' house, my heart pounding the entire way. When I got there, her parents let me in with a stern look, but they didn't say anything. I found Amy in her old room, and she looked surprised to see me. "Amy, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. She didn't respond at first, just stared at me with a mixture of anger and sadness. Finally, she nodded and gestured for me to sit down. "I know you're upset, and I understand why," I began. "But I need you to understand that I had no idea about your history with Cindy. If I had known, I would have done everything in my power to avoid this situation." Amy sighed and finally spoke. "It's not just about that. It's about feeling like I don't know everything about your past, like there are pieces missing that could come back to haunt us." "I get that," I said, "and I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. But you have to understand I didn't know Cindy's real name was Cynthia, and I didn't know she was your cousin. I never kept that from you on purpose." She looked at me, her eyes softening a bit. I just felt blindsided. Seeing her brought back so many bad memories, and it felt like you were hiding something important from me. "I promise you, Amy, I wasn't hiding anything. I just didn't know. And believe me, if I had known she was your cousin, I would have told you right away. You know everything about my past with her. I've been as open as I can be. Amy nodded slowly. I guess it's just a lot to process. Seeing her again, all the old wounds reopened. I know it is, I said. But we can get through this together. We just need to communicate and be honest with each other. She took a deep breath. I know. I just need some time to process everything. I understand, I said. Take all the time you need. But please know that I'm here for you, and I want to make this work. We sat in silence for a few moments, and then she finally smiled, a small but hopeful smile. Okay, let's try to work through this together. Since that day, Amy and I have been working on our relationship. We went to counseling together, and it helped us both understand each other's perspectives better. We learned to communicate more openly and honestly, and slowly but surely, we rebuilt our trust. As for Cindy or Cynthia, I haven't heard from her since that day. The paternity test confirmed that the boy wasn't mine, and she stopped trying to contact me after that. I was relieved, but also a bit sad that things had to end so messily. Looking back, this whole experience has been a roller coaster of emotions, but it has also strengthened my relationship with Amy. We've come out of it stronger and more connected than ever before. I now know that no matter what challenges we face, as long as we face them together, we can get through anything. A bit of a shady character according to them. We've DJ Tem are hoping she stays out of our lives, but we've Team are ready if she tries anything again. In the meantime, Amy and I have been working through our issues in counseling. The sessions have been tough but necessary. We've DJ Tem. We've both realized how much baggage we were carrying from our pasts and how it affected our relationship. Amy admitted that seeing Cindy brought back a lot of painful memories she had buried, and I admitted that I hadn't VJTM'd fully dealt with my feelings about Cindy VDTM's abrupt departure from my life. The therapy has been eye-opening. We've DJTMV started to communicate better and understand each other VJTM's triggers. Amy has been able to talk more openly about the bullying she endured from Cindy, and I VJTMVV been able to express how Cindy VJTM's actions made me feel worthless and abandoned. With JTMV both realized that while Cindy was a big part of our past, she doesn't just TMT define our future. We've JTMDOL are learning to let go of the resentment and hurt that she caused. One of the breakthroughs in therapy was understanding that it was MVJ, TMT Amy versus me, or me versus Amy, but us versus the problems. We've JTM are a team, and we've JTM are stronger together. This mindset has helped us tackle issues more constructively. We've DTMV started setting aside time each week to just talk and connect without distractions. ITVDTM's been helping us rebuild the trust and intimacy that was shaken by Cindy VJ/TM's visit. As for Cindy, the news from our relatives was mixed. Some said she seemed to have found a stable situation, while others warned us to be cautious. Apparently, the new guy Chev DJTM's with has a history of shady dealings, and we VJTMR worried she might get into trouble again. Wev JTM are staying vigilant, but we've DJ Tumor also focusing on our own lives and trying not to let her drama affect us anymore. We've Tim DV also reached out to our support network VDJ friends, family, and our therapist VDJ to make sure we have a strong foundation. We've D2MD learned the importance of not isolating ourselves when things get tough. Our friends have been incredibly supportive, and ITDRTM's been reassuring to know we've DJTMD are not alone in this. Overall, while the past few months have been challenging, they've also been a period of growth and learning for Amy and me. We've DJTMR committed to making our relationship work and ensuring that we don't VJTMT let past traumas dictate our future. ITVGRTM's been a long road, but we're deep or walking it together, hand in hand, stronger and more united than ever. Already smitten with her and had offered to let her move in. Her parents were inconsolable because of how she had been acting, and even more so as she had told them that they were not allowed to meet their grandson anymore. Not to take her side, but honestly, what were her parents even expecting? They had turned her away when she needed them, and now they expected her to just be fine with it. That's just ridiculous. They had always enabled her behavior, be it with me or with Amy. Her parents weren't pleasant people, and clearly neither was she. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, and she's living proof of it. Amy and I just feel bad that the poor kid has to suffer the consequences of her bad decisions. The boy is innocent in all this, yet he's the one caught in the middle of his mother VJTME's chaos. WevDJTM V talked about it a lot, and it breaks our hearts to think about what kind of environment heavy GATM's growing up in. We wish there was something we could do, but our hands are tied. On a positive note, therapy has been a godsend for us. The couples counseling and individual sessions have been incredibly helpful. We've both learned a lot about ourselves and each other. Amy has found a safe space to talk about her past traumas, and IVDJT been able to process my feelings about Cindy. We've DTTM are both working on letting go of the past and focusing on our future together. One of the things we've started doing is having weekly check-ins. Every Sunday evening, we sit down together and talk about our week, our feelings, and any issues that might have come up. It's helped us stay connected and understand each other better. We've also made a pact to be more open and honest, no matter how uncomfortable the conversation might be. It hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. We've also been making more time for each other, whether it's going out on a date night, cooking dinner together, or just sitting on the couch and watching a movie. We're prioritizing our relationship. ITVDJTMEs brought us closer and reminded us why we fell in love in the first place. As for Cindy, we've decided to keep our distance. We don't want her toxic behavior to affect our lives any more than it already has. We've informed our families and friends to let us know if she tries to contact them, but otherwise, we're focusing on us. In the end, this whole ordeal has taught us a lot about resilience and the power of love and support. Amy and I are stronger together, and we're determined to build a happy, healthy future. We're taking things one day at a time, supporting each other through the ups and downs, and remembering that we are a team. Life isn't VDJTMT always fair, and it throws challenges our way, but as long as we face them together, I know we can handle anything. Here's to hoping for a brighter future, free from the shadows of our pasts and full of love, understanding and joy.